In the quiet English village of Soham, a place where kids played freely in the summer sun, a monster was hiding in plain sight. He wore the friendly face of a school caretaker, a man trusted with the very children he would one day destroy. Ian Huntley was a predator, a calculating child killer who lured two innocent 10-year-old girls, Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, to their deaths. It was a crime so horrific it left a scar on the nation. For weeks, Huntley's face was on every television screen as he played the part of a concerned neighbor, even as the bodies of his victims lay hidden just miles away. His capture and conviction brought a collective sigh of relief. Justice, it seemed, had been served. But the story of Ian Huntley didn't end with a life sentence. Behind the cold, unforgiving walls of a maximum security prison, a different kind of justice was waiting. The rules of the outside world don't apply in the concrete jungle of Britain's most dangerous prisons. Here, a new code prevails, one written in violence and fear. And for a notorious child killer, there is no escape. For two innocent little girls, he was the predator who lurked in plain sight, a monster whose crime horrified a nation. But when the iron doors of HMP Frankland slammed shut on Ian Huntley, the hunter became the hunted. This is the story of how one of Britain's most notorious child killers met his own violent end. The summer of 2002 was a hot one in Cambridgeshire, England. For 10-year-old best friends Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, it was a time of carefree joy. They were practically inseparable, bound by a shared love for the Manchester United Football Club. On the evening of Sunday the 4th of August, the happy sounds of a summer barbecue filled the air at Holly's home. Just before they disappeared, Holly's mother took a photograph that would soon become a heartbreaking symbol of the tragedy. It showed the two girls, beaming in their matching red Manchester United jerseys. It was the last picture ever taken of them alive. Sometime during the party, the girls decided to walk to a nearby vending machine to buy sweets. It was a short, familiar walk in a town that felt like the safest place in the world. But on this night, their innocent journey took them past the home of Ian Huntley, the 28-year-old caretaker of the local secondary school. Huntley, a man with a hidden history of allegations involving underage girls, saw his chance. He lured Holly and Jessica into his home, a place they tragically associated with safety. What happened inside that house is known only to him. Huntley's story would change multiple times, but police would later conclude they were most likely murdered by asphyxiation. Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman were never seen alive again. The girls' failure to return home sparked immediate panic. They were officially reported missing, and one of the largest manhunts in British history began. For 13 agonizing days, the small town of Soham became the epicenter of the nation's grief and anxiety. More than 400 police officers were assigned to the search, joined by hundreds of local volunteers who scoured the countryside, clinging to the fading hope that the girls would be found alive. The image of Holly and Jessica in their red football shirts was everywhere, a constant, painful reminder of what was lost. Throughout this ordeal, one man inserted himself into the heart of the media storm, Ian Huntley. He gave interviews claiming to be one of the last people to see the girls alive, playing the role of the concerned, helpful local. His girlfriend at the time, Maxine Carr, was a teaching assistant at the girls' primary school. She backed up his lies, providing a false alibi for the night of the murders, a deception that would lead to her own conviction for perverting the course of justice. But as the days wore on, suspicion began to turn towards the overly helpful caretaker. The turning point came on the 17th of August. Police found the girls' charred Manchester United shirts in a bin where Huntley worked. That same day, a local gamekeeper discovered the girls' bodies in a remote irrigation ditch about 10 miles from Soham. The nationwide search was over, and the nation's hope turned to grief and rage. Ian Huntley and Maxine Carr were arrested that same day. The forensic evidence was overwhelming, and on the 17th of December 2003, a jury rejected his pathetic claims that the deaths were accidental. He was found guilty of both murders, sentencing him to 2 life terms with a minimum of 40 years. The judge noted that Huntley's lies had only deepened. The murders exposed terrifying failures in the system designed to protect children. The subsequent Bichard inquiry revealed that multiple police forces held information about prior allegations against Huntley, including rape and sex with underage girls, but this information was never shared or acted on properly. The inquiry's recommendations led to a revolution in policing, creating a national database and stricter vetting procedures for anyone working with children, now known as the DBS check. For the parents of Holly and Jessica, these changes became a legacy of protection born from unimaginable loss. With Huntley convicted, many believed the story was over, but for Ian Huntley, a new and terrifying chapter was just beginning. Inside the brutal world of the British prison system, his notoriety as a child killer wouldn't earn him respect. Ian Huntley's entry into the prison system marked a stark reversal of fortune. On the outside, he was a predator. Inside, he was immediately cast as the lowest form of prey. His crimes placed him at the very bottom of the inmate hierarchy, a spot reserved for those who harm children. He was eventually sent to HMP Frankland in County Durham, a Category A maximum security prison nicknamed Monster Mansion for housing Britain's most dangerous inmates. For Huntley, it wasn't a place of rehabilitation, it was a hunting ground, and he was the quarry. Though officially a vulnerable prisoner, the guards couldn't shield him from the constant threat of violence. In 2005, while at HMP Wakefield, an inmate threw boiling water on him. After being transferred to HMP Frankland in 2008, the attacks continued. The next major attempt on his life came in March 2010. Damien Fowkes, an inmate serving life for armed robbery, cornered Huntley and slashed his throat with a makeshift blade, inflicting a deep 7-inch gash that required 21 stitches. After the attack, Fowkes reportedly asked an officer, "Is he dead?" "I hope so," later calling Huntley a notorious child killer. Huntley even tried to sue the prison service for damages, a move that only deepened the animosity toward him. Beyond attacks from others, Huntley was a danger to himself, making at least 3 suicide attempts. Life for him was a cycle of fear and isolation. Reports suggested he tried to bully other vulnerable inmates, a desperate attempt to exert control in a world where he was a pariah. It was this alleged bullying that may have sealed his fate. The attack that ended his life reportedly happened on Thursday, the 26th of February, 2026. It took place in a prison workshop's recycling area. His attacker was allegedly Anthony Russell, a 43-year-old triple murderer serving a whole life sentence. Reports claim that Russell, who was allegedly being bullied by Huntley, ambushed him with a spiked metal bar, striking him repeatedly over the head with brutal force. Witnesses claimed that as Huntley fell, some inmates cheered. The aftermath was carnage. Huntley was left unconscious in a pool of his own blood. Paramedics were called and rushed him to a hospital with catastrophic injuries. As he was taken away, his attacker, Anthony Russell, was reportedly heard shouting, "I've done it! I've done it! I have killed him! I have killed him!" At the hospital, the prognosis was grim. Huntley had suffered severe and irreversible brain trauma and was placed on life support. Brain scans reportedly confirmed he was in a persistent vegetative state with no hope of recovery. Reports also claimed he had been blinded by the attack and was unrecognizable from his injuries. After 10 days, the decision was made. On Friday, the 6th of March 2026, Ian Huntley's life support was switched off. He was officially pronounced dead on the morning of Saturday, the 7th of March 2026. He was 52 years old. Durham Constabulary confirmed his death and announced a file was being prepared for the Crown Prosecution Service. The news was met with a complex mix of reactions. For the families of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, it was another painful chapter. For others, it was the final, brutal administration of a justice the courts couldn't provide. Even Huntley's own daughter, Samantha Bryan, who discovered her father's identity while doing a school project, reportedly expressed no sympathy. Her reported reaction was stark. There's a special place in hell waiting for him. The story of Ian Huntley is a grim tale of two halves. The first is a horror story that every parent fears. A monster in a trusted position who stole the lives of two innocent children and plunged a nation into mourning. His crime was an act of pure evil that forever changed child protection in the UK, leaving a legacy of laws designed to prevent another Soham. The second half of his story is a dark lesson in consequence. Ian Huntley, the predator, spent over 2 decades as prey. He was hunted, attacked, and ultimately destroyed with the same lack of mercy he had shown his victims. His death inside HMP Franklin wasn't a quiet fading away. It was savage and bloody. This raises a difficult question about the nature of justice. Was the 40-year minimum sentence he received the full measure of it? Or was his violent end, at the hands of another killer, a final, horrifying balancing of the scales? There are no easy answers. The legal system delivered a verdict and a sentence, but inside the concrete walls of Monster Mansion, an entirely different verdict was carried out. The hunter, who brought unimaginable pain to so many, finally became the hunted, his life ending in a pool of blood on a workshop floor. And for many, that grim symmetry feels like the only fitting end to the story of Ian Huntley. If you found this analysis compelling, please follow, like, comment, and share for more in-depth explorations of true life stories. I'd also like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Ian Huntley's fate was a form of justice? Thank you, and keep an eye out for our podcast coming soon. It's something you won't want to miss.